Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It is good to see you again for some of you, and for others of you, it's good to finally see you. And we went through this experiment on last night, and we did the same kind of exercise. When we walked around, it's good to see you, Brother Ramsey, and we looked every single person in the eye, and then we said it's good to finally see you. Now, at Fearless Dialogues, this is a regular occurrence for our team. We look every person in the eye, and it gets a little more uncomfortable when there are several hundred people in the room. But we look them in the eye silently, and we say it's good to finally see you for a couple of reasons. And the first reason is we received this invitation to come to Memphis Theological almost 2 years ago. And so we've been envisioning what work we might do together. Not only have we been planning and strategizing on how we could bring this community together, but we've also been praying for you for nearly 2 years. So it's good to finally see you after imagining your faces in this space. The other reason why we say it's good to finally see you is because a large part of our work is based upon seeing those who may otherwise be invisible or overlooked. And on last night, we spent a good hour and a half just working through what we call experiments that might heighten our vision such that we might see those who are screaming from the shadows, hear those who are whispering from the dark. So our work is built on 3 pillars. The first is to see. When you all walked into the door, you were greeted with a very standard greeting. It is good to see you. Welcome to Fearless Dialogues. Are you ready for change? See is the first pillar of our work, and we believe that if you cannot see another individual, and we are people of faith, if you cannot see another human being as made in the image of God now, it is not possible to hear their story as meaningful. But how often do we meet in community groups? How often do we meet in churches and think about strategic planning for the future of a city when we do not fully see the people around us as stakeholders? And if we can't see them, anything that we talk about will not create sustainable change. And so on last night, we worked on not only seeing those around us, but seeing ourselves more clearly. Today, we're going to do some exercises that work on hearing. But these are not just exercises. We prefer to look at these as experiments. This is a laboratory of discovery. This is not just a worship space. This is not a fellowship hall. This is a laboratory. And I'd like for you all to think of it as a laboratory. And like any good laboratory, there are experiments that involve some kind of nimbleness. And it challenges you to use your senses and to think about in any laboratory, you might smell that sulfuric kind of Bunsen burner. You might see the bubbles, or you might see the red and the blue liquids, and you can hear the centrifuge. So what we're challenging you to do is to fully employ your senses in this laboratory. And because it's a laboratory, we will engage in experiments. Fearless Dialogues, in brief, seeks to create unique spaces for unlikely partners to engage in hard, heartfelt conversations about taboo subjects. Hard, heartfelt conversations about taboo subjects. And the way that we invite people into conversation is to use these interactive experiments. Now, we have the benefit of having worked with nearly 50,000 people worldwide. And so in this work, over the past 5 years, we've noticed that there are 5 fears that stifle hard conversations. And so we'll jump right into our first experiment. I'm going to ask that everybody, if you could please stand and go to the back wall. Okay? If you could please stand and go to the back wall. Courtney, Can we push that table all the way up to the side? Everybody, if you could just form a line on that back wall. And Rob, would you mind getting that poster from outside, from the one that you signed? Can we push the ambitious table back just a little bit? Thank you, Rob. We can sit right here. All right. Now, there are 5 fears that we've noticed in our work that stifle hard conversation. We're going to talk about a couple of these, but since this is a laboratory, we're just not going to talk about them. We're going to live into them. So this first fear is the fear of the unknown. Okay? And before I talk about it, let's live into it. So everybody, can you see this image? Right? Can everybody see the image? Right? Everybody can see the image. Many of you signed that poster. If you didn't, we'll allow you time to sign it. Now, can everybody see the image? Okay, now, this is experiment number 1 today. We're going to invite you to please close your eyes. Everybody, please close your eyes. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Now, with your eyes closed, we're going to ask that you turn around in a circle 3 times. Let's go. 1, turn around in a circle, keep your eyes closed. 2, turn around in a circle, keep your eyes closed. 3, okay. Now, turn a half circle, keep your eyes closed, keep your eyes closed, don't open them, keep your eyes closed, half circle, 1 more half turn. Now, with your eyes closed, please do not open your eyes. Walk to the poster that you just saw. Walk. Okay, everybody, please walk to the poster that you just saw. Everybody, walk to the poster that you just saw. Everybody, walk, walk, walk. Okay? All right. Freeze. Don't move your hands. Freeze. Freeze. Keep your hands the exact way they were. Keep your hands the exact way they were. Now open your eyes. Now, this is, yeah, you didn't go very far, my brother. Okay. Now, everybody, if you could just turn around and look at Byron. Everybody look at Byron. Byron is back here. Now, Byron, where did you start? Okay. So, Byron started here, and he made it to here. Think about how people enter into conversations that are unknown. Some people enter with great caution. They take a half a step and they say, I'm not going any further. We were doing some work with Delta, and one of the gentlemen almost walked out of the room. He went the opposite way of the poster. And when we began to think about it, some people really don't want to move into unknown spaces. They go to what was familiar. He walked towards what he saw as light. Okay? Now, everybody, let's go back to what you were doing before you froze. Okay? How'd you freeze? Okay? Now, everybody, I want you to look. Now, where was your hand, Felicia?
On her back.
Now, do you all know each other very well? Okay. Did you know it was her?
No.
Okay, now, she knew in her spirit that it was you. So, one of the other things that we see, right, because last night we talked about the need to belong, and one of the things that happens is in unknown spaces, we seek community. We seek community. And so, part of this is, all right, I'm going to put my hand on you, because if you bump into something, at least you'll bump into it before I will. Right? But some of it is, if we are in this unknown situation, at least we are doing it together. Right? Now, here's another perspective. Your name? Missy. So it's always interesting when we're working with ecclesial groups, because there's always somebody like this. Lord, please help me as I move into this very unknown space. So, Mitzi, you're not alone. There's always somebody praying as they step forward. Now, others.
Exactly the way you take communion.
Yes, right? So we are on sacred ground. All right? Moving into the unknown is sacred. Okay? Now, my brother here, your name? Kenneth. Everybody else, if you could put your hands back the way they were. Now, many of us are like Kenneth. Brother Ramsey, Susan, right? Susan is seeking community. Some of us are reaching out, right? Now, some of this is to create boundaries, right? Because I don't want to hurt myself, nor do I want to hurt anybody else. But I'm still moving forward with some caution. Think about how people enter into hard conversations. I don't know what y'all got me into. This is called fearless dialogues. This is a little strange, but we're going to go with it. Right? Think about the hard conversations that happen at your churches, in faculty meetings. People walk in with a little bit of trepidation. Two more. My friend. So, what was happening here? You were walking backwards, right? So there was some sense that I'm moving in the direction of others, even if I'm not looking, right? That's great faith. Some people enter into these conversations with great faith, and then there are always one or two.
What other choice does the dean have?
Yes. So the dean is walking forward while walking backward at the same time. Okay, so Rob and Courtney, there are always a courageous few who plunge toward the unknown in hopes of some brighter tomorrow. Let's reflect on, y'all can take a seat really quickly. Let's reflect on how at Fearless Dialogues we seek to circumnavigate the unknown. How do we circumnavigate the unknown? Many of you all may be aware of the object relations theorist by the name of Donald W. Winnicott. And Winnicott, he did his research with young children. And what he learned was that there are some patterns that babies develop early in life. So early in life, there are these babies that actually believe that they rule the world, that everything changes because they're in the space. So if the baby has a good enough parent, as Winnicott would say, the baby will cry, and magically, I won't be wet anymore. The baby will scream, and my stomach won't be empty anymore, right? So the baby begins to believe that I control the world. The baby is omnipotent. Until that good enough parent says, it's 3 in the morning. Let him cry, right? And so what then the baby, if there is a certain amount of stability and trust that has been built over time, the baby will then clench onto a blanket, right? Or a stuffed animal in substitute of that good enough parent that is not arriving. So that blanket is a symbol. What Winnicott would call a transitional object to help move from that crisis moment into a space of comfort until the good enough parent arrives. Now, it's interesting. When I was in 2nd grade, Mr. Cleese, there was this little boy, and we just thought he was the most disgusting little kid ever. And whenever things got a little shaky in class, this kid would start digging in his ear. I was like, it's so nasty, right? What is he digging in his ear for? And so one day we asked him, man, why are you always digging your ear? And so it turned out that whenever he got nervous or anxious, he would put his finger in his ear, because every morning before he left for school, he would tear off a piece of his blanket and hide it in his ear. And so whenever things got anxious, he would rub the blanket that was in his ear, and it would remind him of the security of being with his good enough parent. Winnicott says that as we get older, we develop other transitional objects that provide us a sense of security and calm. Now, Brother Darrell, it's Darrell, right? I want you to think about this, because Brother Darrell and I were talking about how do we welcome strangers into our space. When you all walked in, there was an image, and the image had the name of the school on it. I don't know if y'all noticed. It had Fearless Dialogues. It had a date on it, right? And the image provides something familiar, even though you're entering into an unknown space. I'm not sure if you all noticed that there was music playing, and there were different genres of music. Some of it was jazz, some of it was R&B, some of it was folk, but there are different kinds of music playing. Winnicott says that there are different types of transitional objects that we as adults can connect to, that would take us from a place of discomfort to a place of comfort. So let me bring it down to earth. So have you all ever been in the car and you have the radio playing, and then a song from that you heard in high school comes on, and you're like, oh, that's my jam, right? And you remember exactly where you were. You were in that old, rusty gymnasium, and all the girls were on one side and all the guys were on the other side, and everybody's like, can I dance now? Right? And so you remember that exact place. Music serves as a transitional object. It can take us to a different place, even when we are in a spot of uncertainty and anxiety. So at Fearless Dialogue, we seek to navigate the fear of the unknown by using artwork, by using images, by using food to transition people from a place of discomfort and anxiety to a place that seems a little bit more familiar. We're going to do a couple of more experiments around these fears. The second fear is the fear of strangers. Now, I invite you all to read the book about that, because there are all kinds of strangers that we encounter on a daily basis. The third fear is the fear of plotting. Everybody, could you say plot? Plot. 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 What does it sound like? Plot. 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 What does it sound like?
Disappointment.
Raindrops. Disappointment. Yeah, it is disappointment. What does it sound like? Alka-Seltzer, right? Plop, plop, fears, right? And anybody else, what does it sound like? Puking, right? Anything else? Flop. Say it again. Flop. Flop. Flop sounds like flop. When we're working with younger groups, they say, it sounds like a toilet, right? So plop, plop. This is a fear that each of us have encountered at some point in our life. And to experiment with this, we're going to now invite each group to take an egg. Okay? These are raw eggs. We do not want any casualties of war. So just one egg per. Right? And any allergies in the room? Okay. All right. So, everybody say plop. This is the third fear that we find in Fearless Dialogue. Please be careful. We're going to invite you that you close your circles a little tighter. All right.
It is not unknown. It does fly.
All right. Now, everybody has an egg. Is that correct? So, now what we're going to do is we're going to ask the first person that is holding the egg to write on that egg with the Sharpie something that they value deeply in life, something that you hold and cherish as true, something that you uplift and that you would like to teach future generations about. This is something that is core to you. All right? So if you could write that one word on the egg and then call it out so everybody in your group can hear it. One word, one word. Right? Call it out loud, call it out loud. 2 or 3 times so everybody in the room can hear what you're saying.
So everyone in the room can hear that.
Just call it out. Just call it out. Call it out. You got it on the egg? Okay, now we're going to ask that you would pass the egg to the person on your right. All right? Pass it to the person on your right. That's fine. Call it out.
We went left.
That's fine. Oh, doesn't matter. Call it out.
Creation.
Creation. Okay, now we're going to ask the second person holding that egg to write your value on the egg and call it out loud so everybody in the room can hear it.
Creation.
Love, compassion. Call it out, call it out.
We can all hear you.
Relief. Belief.
Creation.
Creation.
The word?
Truth. Okay, now let's pass it once more to your right or left. And this is the third go round. Please write the word that you value on the egg and call it out loud. Okay? Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to switch the markers. Switch the markers, switch the markers. You go. All right, switch the markers. Here's one. Let's switch the markers, switch the markers. Go. Okay, now, we're going to ask that you pass it back opposite, right? So the person who had it, and you pass it to your right, now pass it back to your left. All right, somebody might not have got the chance to write, and that's okay. Okay? So now, there are some things in our life that we greatly detest. If we would use the word that my grandma would not let me say, you hate these things. These things may be social ills. They may break down community. They may be vital in our churches, in our families, in our homes. I want you to write down that word, that thing that creates great pain, and call it out. Raise it. Selfishness, lies, fear. Hypocrisy. Okay? Now everyone has written, so we want to pass it back to a person that's written already. So pass the egg once more. Right? Okay? Now write your word, please. We're almost done with this. Write your word and call it out. Write your word, call it out. Sexism. Injustice. Contentment. Deceit. Okay? This is the fear of plotting.
What's your word? Fear.
Fear. Okay? Last one. One more time. Okay? One more pass. Humiliation. Okay? All right. the pain. Write down the pain. Okay? Last one. Write down the pain. 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 Okay? Now, does everybody have your pains? So, if you did not read, right? How many people did not get a chance to write on the egg? Okay? So we're going to ask if you all would please stand up and go to the back of the room. If you did not write on the egg, please stand up and go to the back of the room.
Did we not write at all? Or?
If you did not write at all on the egg, did you get a chance? Did you get a chance to write on the egg? Okay, it's fine. If you can go to the back. Yeah. Okay. So now, we're going to ask now that those of you who had a chance to write on the egg, if you could call out, if you all could turn your back, if you could call out loudly, as loud as you can, so they can hear what you said, call it out so that they can hear it in the back of the room. All of the words on the egg. Call out your words.
Love,
Hope,
creation,
belief, exclusion, perseverance, deceit, reconciliation, meekness,
dishonesty, fear, and greed.
Loudly. I don't think they encourage you. Say it one more time.
forgiveness,
Faith,
exclusion, hope,
perseverance,
creation,
reconciliation,
grace,
salvation,
sex,
meekness,
grief,
coward.
Okay, now, if you all could please stand up, we're going to go outside. Everybody, please, come out. This is conflict. All right, I thought about the injustice, the negative things. And then I also thought about my dreams. How did it feel? Let's talk. How did it feel? Yeah, how did it feel? These are your most vulnerable truths. Now look at it. How did it feel? I don't get to control the vulnerability that I'm exposed to. How did it feel? It's pain. Okay.
Yeah, I would say hurtful too, because like, people going out to really and pain. So, now I don't have control, how do I get it out from away family? But then I'm thrown away injustice. So those two together, I throw both of them away. What?
Yeah.
This is reality, and for me, I wish that I was better able to both.
Yeah.
I felt relieving because we spend so much time trying to pass on and trying to not pass on. We could do something very different day. So it's always this constant thinking and wondering if I'm doing it correctly or just being effective. Am I passing on the right thing, not passing on the incorrect things. And so for us to do this exercise and to drop it lets me know that it's okay because learning is important.
Yes.
I'm a little different. I was thinking about what kind of mess is this going to be?
It was a lot messier when we did use pain.
For me, it was just the sound felt loud. I just felt that there's a place where it's
Did anybody else feel? Can you give me your name?
yes.
Jane, and yours? Mary Lynn, and yours? Joe. So there's this feeling of relief, this question of who is going to make the repair, who's going to heal this wound, and then there's this feeling of violence. So plot, everybody just say plot. Plot. So Jane Veller is a master educator. She wrote this book called Educating. I'm telling you, maybe it's the medicine. She teaches adult education. I can't remember the name of the book. I'm sorry. I'll find it in a minute. But what she says is that plotting is a violent act. How many of you all have ever been in a board meeting, at a church meeting, maybe even at the dinner table with your family, and you gather up the energy, the courage to share your most authentic truth? And the people around the table, this happened in my first graduate seminar, Brother Brand. The people around the table, I'm not reading, Janelle, I was prepared. You know, it's only in doctoral, studies where you have to read before the first day of class, but I had read, I was ready, and I go out on the limb and I start to share my thoughts that I had rumbled in my mind for the past several days. And I'm sitting around this long table and I share my thoughts, and then all of a sudden it's that kind of Charlie Brown, the womp, 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 womp. And all of the faces around the table go blank while I'm talking. This is my first doctoral seminar. And then after I finish, the faces return to a state of liveliness. And the conversation continues, Ms. Felicia, as if I had not uttered a single word. And then 5 minutes later, one of my other colleagues said the exact same thing that I said. And they said, man, that's real good. At that moment, according to Jane Vella, I had plotted. I had shared my most authentic truth, and it hit the floor, and everybody stared. And nobody acknowledged it. And plotting is just as much about seeing the person who is speaking as a person of worth as it is what is said. Are you worthy of me hearing? And Jane Vella says that plotting is a violent act, Jane. Because if I plot, then Miss Stephanie is going to say to herself, well, shoot, I'm not going to say anything because they might not hear me either. So it virally infects the entire community. So the question is, how do we create containers where people hold truths with care? The fourth fear is the fear of appearing ignorant. And what we have learned is that people who fear appearing ignorant, they fill spaces with empty words. They just talk, war tools, right? And they fill the space with words so that they might feel as if they are the ones who have the source of all that is real true. How do we value the words of others, but also value our most authentic truth such that we share things that actually move the needle and not just share things so we can hear ourselves talk? The fifth fear is the fear of oppressive system, that these problems are too big for little old me to change. We believe in fearless dialogues that small yet substantial changes can lead to monumental shifts in communities. So this final experiment that we'll do today, we're going to invite you to return to your circle of 5. And if you, before you return, we ask that you would just put your hands up like this. Now you have dropped an egg, and you know that it has to be clean. But now, I'd like for you to think that you have a baby bird in your hand. Now, Parker Palmer taught me this. I don't want you to get impatient. This baby bird has just hatched. Don't get impatient and go, fly, No, that's not good for the bird. We don't want you to get restless and tired, like, oh, I'm tired of listening. No, don't do that to the bird. That's not helpful. We don't want you to get so emotionally entangled that you get angry because the bird is different than your bird. And so you crush it. We don't crush the bird. We're asking now that you will pull the baby bird in. We're about to participate in an experiment called 5 hardest questions you will face in life. This is an experiment that allows us to fear less by sharing authentic truths and not allowing them to block. These truths are questions built around identity and purpose, community, empathy, and legacy. These are the most authentic truths of the people that are standing with you. They are moving into the unknown with a little less fear. They invite you to do the same. Their truth is a baby bird. We ask that you don't get impatient. We ask that you don't get emotionally entangled. We ask that you don't get anxious and drop it. That you will hold that truth with great integrity. So we're going to ask now that you just kind of put the baby bird down somewhere. Let her take her reins. Don't step on anybody's baby bird as you walk back into the room. So, we're going to be out of here at 1 o'clock, I promise. We're going to invite you now to place everything on the floor. And why do we do these kinds of experiments? When we are in communities that are embroiled in conflict, it's important not only that we begin to see each other, right? Let's think about a community. Lucy asked me a question last night, and I shared with her an example of a very large private school that we were working with that was going through a series of racial discord and incidents that were continually bringing up the worst in that particular community. And so they invited us in to talk about race. Well, we don't put a finger on the issue and point it out and call it out to the rooftops. What we do is we allow the people in the community to lift up the issues that are most important to them. And so by not claiming this is what we're going to talk about, we give people freedom to think about issues that may be lying beneath the surface. And what we discovered is that in addition to race, the most pernicious issue in that particular community was class. And the way that it came out is we said, if we are going to have a conversation about the culture of a community, we need to have all of the stakeholders in the conversation. So it's not just students and teachers. It's not just administrators and parents. We invited, with the support of the administration, alums and cafeteria workers and parking attendants and the security personnel. So we're going to think about the culture of an environment. We need to bring all of the stakeholders to the table. And once we bring them to the table, it's important that we begin to see and hear each other such that these vulnerable conversations might move to a place where then we can begin to think about change. So this particular experiment, the 5 hardest questions you face in life, challenges us to think about identity, purpose, community, empathy, and legacy. And so over the next 30 minutes, we will face these questions. This experiment is an evolution of what the Quakers call a circle of trust. And so what we'll do is I will ask a question and then Angie will ask a question. But first, I will frame question one in a narrative. And then for about 2 minutes, there will be one of you, and you will say, that is my question. This is the question that I am supposed to answer at this given moment in time. And so we'll give you about 2 minutes to answer that question. While that person is answering, there are 5 questions. Each person will be given an opportunity to answer one question. Because there are 5 questions and there are 5 people, that means you get 4 opportunities to listen deep. And when you're listening, we ask that you listen, recognizing that the person next to you could be sharing their most authentic truth, and they might be in need of serious guidance. But your job is not to guide with advice. You have the responsibility of asking one open-ended question that could serve as a guidepost for your colleague who will be facing these issues beyond this room. So an open-ended question, Janelle, is not this. So Daryl, you think you should get more counseling? That's not an open-ended question. An open-ended question invites further exploration. So here's the process. I will frame the question. One person will say, this is my question. They will talk for 2 minutes. Then we'll go silent for 30 seconds to allow you and the hearers to reflect on that one open-ended question. After that 30 seconds elapses, one of those 4 people will share those questions. Each of you will have an opportunity to share your question, and then we will give thanks to the person who is courageous enough to share. You got it? We ask the question, one person responds with their answer, everybody listens. After 30 seconds, we go silent. You allow your question to bubble up from the depths. You ask your question, we give thanks. Everybody ready? Now let me be frank with you. These are the 5 hardest questions you'll face in life, and they get harder. So if you are wise, you might choose the first one, because they will get harder. Now we're going to ask that you put everything on the floor, and that you will bring your circles in a little bit tighter, a little bit tighter. All right, y'all ready? Y'all ready? Ooh, y'all sound a little iffy about this. We're walking into the unknown, but we're holding everybody's baby bird. Right? Are y'all ready? Are y'all ready?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Okay. Question number 1. Now, these 3 words might seem a bit easy. But when you begin to unpack these words as a question, they seem a little bit tougher to answer. The first question is a question of identity, Lucy. Who am I? And it seems easy enough. But when you ask the question, who am I, you must also ask that question, who am I not? Who am I when the shades are drawn and nobody can see me? Who am I when I have one sock on and one sock off? Who am I at 3 in the morning when I look in the mirror and there's no makeup on, when I didn't shave? Who am I? And so it's interesting. You all know that I teach at Candler School of Theology, and we don't have corny icebreakers when we start the semester. And in my intro class, we do this ritual that Walter Fluker taught me years ago, and we stand in this circle, and the students spiral around to the center of the room, and then they spiral out, and then one person grabs what we call the talking stick, and they will ask themselves this question as they stand in the center of the room. They will say, from my center to the center of all things, I call myself. What do you call yourself? I recall there was this one young man, and he stood in the center of the circle, and he said, this is my first day of seminary. I was kicked out of my family's household. The church told me that I was not welcome back, And all of my friends excommunicated me because I am a young black man who is Christian. And so on this first day of seminary, from my center to the center of all things, I called myself free. The world can call you all kinds of things. Father, mother, doctor, professor, nurse. I don't know what they call you, but what do you call yourself? Who am I? Who am I not? 2 minutes. Everybody, let's talk. One person. One person. One person. Be courageous, because question number 2 is much harder, right? What is your truth? Who am I? Who am I not? Who am I? Who am I? One person. Just one person. What do you call yourself? Not what does the world call you? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you and who are you not? One person. Come on. Take courage. Take courage. Take courage. 90 seconds, everybody. 90 seconds. Who are you at your core? Not necessarily your role. What is the animating part of your soul? Who are you? Who are you not? 40 seconds, everybody. 40 seconds. Who are you? Who are you not? Listen to me. You never know. 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now your colleagues share their truth. This is their baby burden. Don't let it block. Who knows? These questions that you might ask might be the key to send that person in a direction that they might not have anticipated, but God is pushing them. And you are here on that day to ask that very question. Allow that question to bubble up from your depths. Please share your questions now. What are your questions? What are your questions? Open-ended questions, not comments, not judgmental criticisms. What is your question? Share your questions now.
Process question, she doesn't respond to our...
No, that person does not respond to the question. They just receive the questions. Don't respond. Don't answer the questions. Just receive it. Yeah, don't answer the question. Just receive it as a gift. Don't respond. Just receive the question. Seconds, everybody. 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
That's just my
15 seconds.
That's my gift to you.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 4, 2, 1. Okay, everybody. Person number one, please raise your hand if you answered the first question. If you answer the first question, please raise your hand. If you answer the first question, please raise your hand. If you answer the first question, okay, everybody, let's give thanks to person number one. They broke the ice. Thank you. Question number one, a question of identity. Question number two, a question of purpose.
They get harder. Your second question is, why am I here? Why am I here? Not why you're in this room, sitting in that chair. Not why you were in that class this morning. Why am I here? What's my purpose? I was a person who thought I knew what my purpose was for a long time. I'm one of those second career seminary / people. And I had gone through life doing one thing, and God was moving in a different way. And at 40 years old, I quit my job in corporate America, fully vested. Y'all know what that means? Fully vested. Single mom, 2 kids, mortgage, and dropped it all so I can live out why God had me here and went to seminary. So why are you here? What's that thing that wakes you up in the morning? What's that thing you've been running from? Why are you here? So we have a brave soul. I'm going to assume for question number 2. Why are you here?
2 minutes.
Second person.
Why are you here? Why are you here? Sacrifices were made so you could be here. Somebody died. Somebody prayed. Somebody worked overtime so you could be here. To challenge how people think about learning. You made a decision in your life and to help institutions so that you could be here and not somewhere else. So it was a split-second decision. You were here.
Yeah, I feel like that is why that is showing up. It shows up in passion to be here. It shows up formally in my role in school. It shows up as I challenge boards I sit on, think about the work that we do, and how it has human consequences on children and students, adult students. So yeah, like part of my reason for existence, consistent challenge, one minute.
Seconds, everybody. Just 30 seconds. Seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time, everybody. Time. So now, we're going to ask that you would allow that question to bubble up. What's your question? What's your question? What's your question? Please share your questions now. Share your questions. Share your questions. Share your questions. Share your questions. Share your questions now. Share your questions.
How have your relationships in this debate?
Goes all. You share.
30 seconds, everybody. 30 seconds. 30 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, person number 2, please raise your hand. Person number 2. Let's give thanks to person number 2. Person number 2. Okay. Thank you, person number 2. Question 3. They get harder. All right, question 3 is generally a toss-up. Sometimes we ask, who is my neighbor? But I don't think we need to ask that question in this group. Question number 2 is, what is my gift? What is my gift? Now, far too often, this is question number 3. Question number 3, what is my gift? Far too often, some of us wear our talent instead of living out of our gift. I went into college as a pre-med major because I drunk the Kool-Aid in high school. Because somebody said, Greg, you are good in chemistry, you're good in calculus, so you're going to go and you're going to be a physician and you're going to heal the people in our community. And I believed them until I got the freshman chemistry and I got a D- and I said, this ain't my gift. But how many of us actually live out our seeming vocation out of what other people told us that we should be? What would it look like in our classroom if we lived out of our gift? What would it look like in our sermons if we lived out of our gifts? What if we spoke from our gifts? If we connected to people from our gifts? You have gift labels on you. When we first did this experiment at Fearless Dialogues, there was a judge and a drug dealer in the same circle because they had the same gift label as healer. If they would have had their titles on, the drug dealer friend that I had that I invited would have gone to the other side of the room and he would have saw Judge Berdina Beatty. If he would have saw Judge Beatty, he would have gone to the other side of the room. But they were seated in the same circle because they declared that they had a gift. The judge said, before I offered any ruling, I turned my back and I prayed for the family. The drug dealer said, my mom is never at home. And so, because I don't know my dad, I have to feed my younger brothers and sisters. I make sure they get their homework done, and I get them to school on time. I am a healer in my family. What is the gift that animates your life? 2 minutes. Let's go. What is your gift? What is your gift? What is your gift? What is your gift? I'm not talking about your talent that will show up on your resume or your CV. What is your gift? What is your gift? What is your gift? I think it's in there. What is your gift? What is your gift? Talents and gifts are way different. We got a lot of talents, but only God gave us this one gift. There's only one of you in all of humanity. Oh, our time is running short. We only got 15 minutes. But we were wrestling with some of life's hardest questions.
Preaching, teaching, friendship.
We have more time, but it's 40 seconds left. Just 40 seconds.
But there's also the other side.
Just 40 seconds. What's your gift? What's your gift?
I thought a lot about too. I mean, so it isn't just
20 seconds, everybody. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. These questions are key to vocational discernment. Ask them with care. Please share your questions now. Share your questions. Share your questions. Share your
What is the hardest?
How does that get expressed in different powers?
Oh, these may be hard. Okay. 30 seconds, y'all. 30 seconds.
How do you balance
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Person number 3. Person number 3. Thank you for being so brave and courageous. Person number 3. Oh man. We got 2 more. God bless person number 5. Who am I? Why am I here? What is my gift? Question number 4 is,
How does it feel to be a problem?
how does it feel to be a problem?
I saw that face. How does it feel to be a problem? This is a question that W.E.B. Du Bois asked in Soul of Black Folk. And I was talking to Greg before we came on so I can remember the story. He said when W.E.B. Du Bois was in 2nd grade, it was Valentine's Day. Here we are. And it was time, 2nd grade, you have to hand out the little candies and the notes to the people in your class. And he gave a note to a young lady, a little girl, and she looked at him and said, "You don't even belong here. Why would you give this to me?" I was talking to Greg last night about this particular question. It's really a sensitive one for me. I'm a mom of 2 teenage black boys in an age of chaos and pain and death for black men. And when my son, who's now 16, was 13 going on 14, he was having a rough time in school. And so I had just had a class with Greg, and we did this exercise, and I went home and I did each of these exercises, including this one with my then 13-year-old. And we got to the question of how does it feel to be a problem? Because it's painful for a mother to ask her child how it feels to be a problem. And this young, beautiful young man welled up. And he talked about how he felt being a problem. He didn't say, "I'm not one." He had a whole lot of reasons that he would feel as such. So we invite you to think about or talk about how it feels. Was there ever a time you felt that you were a problem? Person number 4. How does it feel to be a problem?
You may be a problem because you think differently. You believe differently. You
I'm
love
happy to
differently.
answer it.
How does it feel to be a problem?
Yeah, exactly.
How does it feel to be a problem?
It's about legacy questions. You know that.
You should answer.
Yeah. How does it feel to be a problem?
All right, go, Mitzi.
You may be older, you may be younger, you may be darker, you may be lighter, you may be heavier, you may be lighter. I don't know, but how does it feel to be a problem? You don't fit with it.
I think when I was about 7 and I'd read it all and there was a moment when I stopped thinking about it being a problem, and then everybody else had the problem. I didn't have the problem. And ever since then, it's been growing through this.
How does it feel to be the one on the outside,
I think at this point in my life,
on the margins?
best I can tell, I have arrived at a place of comfort. I just accept, I was a little girl who went in that way. I was a little girl who didn't stop in school answering questions. Most girls get there and stop because girls aren't supposed to do that. I didn't stop. But then I
15 seconds.
college and wanted to be a tennis player, and I turned with the women were shut and I was going to I was supposed to somewhere, want to get married and have children. And I thought I couldn't do it. And so.
10, 9, 8, 7, 3, 2, 1. Allow your questions to bubble up.
Exactly how the source of your creed.
Share those
Share
questions.
your questions.
Share the questions. To what extent do you feel like you have a ministry for other problems?
And you ask God.
What's community for you? Yourself, wrong.
30 seconds, everybody. 30 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, person number 4. Person number 4, raise your hand. Person number 4. Person number 4. Now, person number 5, please stand up. Please stand up. Person number 5. Person number 5, please stand up. Please stand up. Person number 5. Now, I'm a Baptist preacher. And when people stand in the need of prayer, what we ask is everybody to raise your hand and just point it in the direction. Okay, we need your strength right now. Okay, everybody sit down. Question number 5. The question number 1 is about identity. Who am I? Question number 2, what is my purpose? Why am I here is a question of purpose. Question number 3, how can I share my gift with the world? Is a question about community. Question number 4, if I feel like a problem, how can I be in community with others who feel that problem status? That's a question of empathy. Question number 5 is a question of legacy. It is one of the hardest questions that I have had to wrestle with in my life. It is a question posed by Howard Thurman. It is the one that I asked in the eulogy of my beloved father, Gregory Ellison Sr., in March of last year. I stood behind the pulpit and I looked my mother and my brother and my son and my wife and all of our family members in the eye, Brother Ramsey, and I asked this question: what must I do to die a good death? Yeah. When we are working in urban communities, we ask our friends, is a good death your face on a t-shirt and a bandana in a coffin? When we're working with corporate gangsters, I ask them, is a good death transferring several commas into your child's bank account and you never tuck them in at night? What is a good death? Because Dr. Thurman says in order to die a good death, you must have a good life. What's up, my brother? You good? You good? So the question is, the question of legacy. What must you do now to die a good death? Good luck. Person number 5, good luck.
I think it's pretty easy question right now. That is to raise my daughter so that she has start a mission possible. And he's a partner with Catholic. We both teach. That's my business. 3 years ago, we were just
What is your legacy? What do you leave behind? What will they say on that day?
She's gonna live most of her life. So I want her to start. Look back and say,
Finding ways to show that love.
how do you
30 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What are your questions?
Please share your question now.
Share your questions.
Share those questions. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Everybody, let's give it up for person number 5. Give it up for person number 5. Now, we saw, and this happens from time to time, that there are groups that get so into this experiment that their hands nearly touch, right? And so we want to give thanks for the community of friends who have worked with us on this journey. Hold on. This is how we give thanks. Stand up, my brother. Now, I can't give you a handshake because I'm protected from germs. But some people give the little hug. Some people will give a pound. Y'all can stand up. Some people give a group hug. All right? So however you choose to give thanks to your group members now. Please give thanks. Give thanks. Give thanks now. Please give thanks.
Listen, we had this last night. Thank you. Approved this. Sounds good. I did feel like
Now, I know we are at time. We are at time. I'm going to ask for 5 bonus minutes. If we could just get 5 bonus minutes. I'm sorry that we're going over. Just 5 bonus minutes. I want you all to think about these questions. We pose them individually. Who am I? Why am I here? What is my gift? How does it feel to be a problem?
because we need it.
What must I do to die a good death? Now, when we are working in communities, after posing these questions individually, we invite the communities to reflect on these questions collectively. Who are we? We had the benefit of working with the United Methodist Council of Bishops as they are preparing for this monumental decision that will affect the future of their church. There were 60 next week, so there were 60 bishops in the room from around the world, and we invited them, after reflecting on these questions individually, to think about this. Who are we as a council of bishops in 2018? We are not the same bishops from 1918. We will not be the bishops from 2028, but we are a group that has a unique identity. What is our identity? Not only what is our identity, why are we here? Why has God brought us to this particular place and time? How might we use the influence that God has gifted us to create change? What is our purpose? What is our gift? What unique gifts do we have in this room that otherwise, if we do not tap into our gifts and just work out of our roles, we will not create the change that we seek to see? How does it feel to be a problem? For us to be a problem. For us to think differently. For us to move differently. For us to shape the bishop's role differently. How does it feel for us to be a problem? If we can identify with our problem status, how might we stand alongside those who are incarcerated, those who are excluded, those who are in need of care, but aren't seen? How does it feel for us to move in our problem status? And then we ask them to think about the fact that they will not be here 100 years from now. What must we do as a community to make the lives of our great-grandchildren that are not yet born better? What must we do to die a good death? These experiments are meant to stimulate the imagination. And we live by this philosophy. Once you see, you cannot not see. And so now, before you leave, we challenge you. Some of you took part in this challenge on last night, to actually mobilize and shift the 3 feet of space that are in your proximity.
So sitting next to you right here on the floor, I hear ruler. So there's this concept that you can make effective change just within the 3 feet around you. A lot of times we think we have to do big, grandiose things. I've got to change the entire world. My prayer for you last night as I prayed over this space is that you would have open hearts and minds to see and hear and be willing to make a change here in Memphis and then ultimately in the world. But it can start within 3 feet. So we ask that you stand. I don't have a ruler, but y'all have a ruler. You don't have a ruler. Oh, we missed a ruler. Okay. We'll find your ruler. But this is the amount of space. Can I see your ruler? Takes to make effective. This means that we challenge you in the next 3 days to engage 3 people, strangers. So that means you two right here. Y'all can't be their effective change. They tried me today. But that you see 3 people within 3 feet of you to make effective change. That's the stranger, the person you do not know, you have not engaged. What does it look like? I tell people what I do, just to give you an example, because you might wonder what that means. I don't know what the homeless population is here in Memphis. In Atlanta, it's pretty large. And there's people standing on the side of the highways all the time, asking for food, money, etc. The distance between my window and the person is about 3 feet. I keep cereal bars in my car. They're really cheap if you get them from Kroger. I roll down my window and I say, "What is your name?" Stephanie, it is good to see you. I don't have much, but I hope this will nourish you for today. Those days that I don't have cereal bars, because I'll run out and the children try to sneak them every now and then. I roll down my window and I say, "Sister, what is your name?" "Stephanie, it is good to see you. What I have for you today is a blessing." And I pray that you receive the provisions you need. And you wouldn't imagine how grateful. And the messages are, you ask my name, you see me. So I want you to raise your ruler. It's not far. Go get y'all rulers. It's not far. 3 people, 3 days to make effective change within 3 feet of you. Are you up for the challenge? Yes. Are you up for the challenge? Yes. I believe, and I'll check with Greg, sometimes we have a space on our website we can go and give a testimony. If not, you can look our Facebook. But we thank you for coming to Fearless Dialogue. We hope that you learn how to see each other and have tools to see others, that you have learned to hear each other better so that you can make an effective change. Thank you.